Didn't actually think I'd be doing a Cover Killer Nation Reacts video during Fan Appreciation Week, but Michael Arthur, you actually brought an article to my attention that I need to react to, so right here, special Fan Appreciation Week edition of CKN Reacts, as we react to some comments that Alice Cooper made about the most recent resurgence of vinyl records and the collecting of those, and really just the purchasing of them in general over the past couple of years. So, this is from an article that was an interview with Alice Cooper that was posted over on Blabbermouth. I'm going to post the link to the article in the description box. That way all of you guys can check it out and read it for yourself, but I kind of want to skim over it a little bit with you. Very, very similar to the very first episode that we ever did of this way back last May. Or actually, it was around this time last year that CKN Reacts debuted. Asked if he thinks any of the current crop of rock bands have the potential to leave a legacy that is comparable to those of Motley Crue and Alice Cooper, Alice responded, "It's a different world right now. We were in a golden age where records, you'd go to a record store and buy records, and when you bought the records, you owned a piece of Motley Crue, you owned a piece of Alice Cooper, and you'd stand in line to buy those records, or to buy that record. I think now it's so disposable. Bands stay around for a year and a half, and you can't really dedicate your life to them. Because, you know, they're not going to be around in the next year. Whereas with Motley and Alice, there's security and all that. There's a security that those bands are going to be there for a long time. Cooper also spoke about the sudden resurgence of records over the past few years, which has resulted in a more than 50% increase in sales over the years of 2013 and 2014 alone. Alice said last year vinyl went up 85%, and the kids, I think they're tired of buying air. They don't get anything with it. I think this generation is rebelling against the technology thing. I sign more records than I do CDs anymore." And it goes on to say that according to Nielsen SoundScan, more than 9.2 million vinyl records were sold in the U.S. last year. It's 2014, which is a 52% increase over 2013 figures. In the first quarter of this year, vinyl album sales were 53% higher than in quarter one of 2014, driven by a 66% increase in catalog album sales, and those are albums that have been out for 18 months or more. So, if you remember last October, we talked about some comments that Gene Simmons made about rock being dead, and Alice Cooper, I think, with these comments, sort of alluded to that a little bit within the first portion of this interview, where he was talking about how rock bands seem to really stick around only for a very short period of time before their time in the sun sort of fades away, and then they fade kind of into obscurity, whereas back in the day, back in the 70s and in the 80s, groups such as Alice Cooper and Motley Crue were mainstays. These were individuals that were constantly selling, and rock and roll in general was a very, very large, hot commodity. And in a way, I really have to agree with Alice, because if you pop on any rock and roll radio station or alternative radio station, whatever they are calling themselves these days, you'll note that not only are you hearing very few in the way of new tracks from a lot of newer artists, but you're hearing a lot of the same catalog material that you've probably heard if you've been listening to the radio for the past 10 to 20 years, all depending on your age. This is something where the advent of XM radio and Sirius and all of those other different services have certainly been a little bit more pivotal in driving some of these new bands to a little bit more success. There was a lot of people that used to come into the store whenever I worked there and stated that they had heard something on satellite radio and wondered if we had it, and at some points we did, and other points it was something that was a little bit more regional that was starting to gain a little bit of national exposure, and we would eventually get it later on down the line. But yeah, a lot of these bands definitely seem to have their moments in the sun. It's very rare that you have a couple of bands that do, you know, really big things and really take advantage of that position. And I'm thinking of bands such as the Black Keys, which experienced a resurgence in their career with Brothers, with their album from, I believe it was 2010, and specifically the song Tighten Up. And then you look at bands such as Mumford & Sons that kind of do something a little bit different and really have a bit of a long-staying future. But whenever it comes to vinyl, then this is something that has really been, it's been coming and coming and coming for a long time. It was just a moment or it was really a question, should I say, of when the explosion and when the idea was going to take off, and take off in a big way. I remember that I started collecting records in the first portion of the 2000s. I was really right at the edge of high school and about to head into college whenever I started to pick up a lot of vinyl that was mainly of the classic rock persuasion, stuff from the 1970s and 1980s. Definitely had a more of a desire to get stuff from bands such as Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin, the classic rock mainstays. And as I continued to grow throughout my collection, which people have been asking for a collection video for Fan Appreciation Week, I sadly cannot do that because it's spread out throughout various locations, and getting to some of those locations involves a little bit of pre-planning, considering there's a lot. And really, it's very disorganized. To be honest, the main reason why I don't do it is because I'm not satisfied with my own organizational structure with it to show it off. So that's a little bit of my ego kind of screwing me over. But you know, as the years kind of went on, I started to pick up some stuff from heavy metal. Then I started to pick up some other things. You know, I have a little bit of everything in my collection. It's not something that's just centered towards what's new. There's a very, very large desire to have some elder records, and in fact I just picked up another pile of records from my great uncle, which spans the eras of the 40s all the way up into the 60s, and there's some country music in there. Even there's some classical stuff. There's the Amazing 60s, which is a compilation vinyl that includes some pop hits. I mean, there's a little bit of everything in there because there's just so much out there to really distance yourself from anything. But I love the fact that this is a resurgence. I love the fact that this is coming back in full force. I love the fact that I go on the Facebook and I talk with some of you guys, whether it be on my personal page or on the Cover Killer Nation page, and you guys are talking about the vinyls that you're picking up. I love reading comments on these videos that say, hey, I just picked up this on vinyl, and man, does it sound really awesome. It sounds boss on wax. I love this. Why don't you check this out? You know, and I remember whenever I was at the store watching that vinyl section that we had steadily grow and grow. The only real dissuadance point was the fact that it was a pretty expensive thing, but it's something that's definitely worth it quality-wise. It's something where I still feel that it has the best sound out there, and Tidal's not going to be able to do fucking shit about that with its lossless BS. It's just basically you're going to be losing $20. You're going to have $20 less. That's my whole take on that. I really hope that Alice's words kind of inspire a lot more people who read this article, or if this gets spread around, I hope it encourages a lot more individuals to take the leap and get into vinyl records. And I really think that the one statement that really captivated me the most, the one that stood out to me, was whenever Alice said that they are tired of buying air. They're tired of purchasing something that has no real value to it, that has no physical presence to it. And it seemed like for the past 10 years or so, prior to this resurgence of vinyl, that was a-okay to a lot of consumers. That was a-okay to a lot of people. That they really didn't want to have all of that clutter. This was a way to eliminate all of that clutter. When, funnily enough, what they probably ended up gaining was a lot more clutter from all of the cords and all of the other bullshit that they've picked up in their lives. And now they're just a lazy generation that doesn't want to clean or organize or do shit. And hell, I look at some of the areas in my own place and think, shit, I need to clean right the fuck now. But I love the fact that this is a generation that seems to be very geared toward having something physical in their hands, something that they can look at. I'm glad because it now is providing the opportunity for a lot of artists and a lot of musicians to really get deeper into the craft and expand it even further, and really showcase artwork that seems to go and become synonymous with the music, really indulge in some different creative concepts. I mean, this is something that Tool has been doing for years and years with even just their CD cases. Now we have a bunch of individuals out there that have spaced out concepts. I mean, I saw a copy of the new Mastodon album, Once More Around the Sun, on vinyl, and the vivid colors and just the Technicolor explosion that cover really boasts is a marvel in itself. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing to see. And, you know, it's nice to see the CD covers, but whenever you see that larger on vinyl with all of that extra attention to detail, or if you see something that's real minimalist, it's almost like It's almost like a modern art museum, a modern art exhibit that really showcases how different styles and genres of music sometimes attribute colors. And you can see that within, or covers, not colors, but colors are included. But you can see that even within heavy metal itself. You can see that within the difference between a deathcore album cover or a progressive metal album cover, a thrash album, a classic heavy metal album cover. There are definitely things that divide, and whenever you see something that seems a bit off, that actually tends to make you think of something other than what it truthfully is, it really stands out. It's something that's kind of crazy, and the artwork is only becoming more and more magnificent as time presses on, and the music itself is getting a lot more of the love based around the fact that now they're playing these on record players. They're getting some great sound quality to it. The quality of the machines are going up. They're using a higher quality material for the vinyl, which is adding to the cost, but at the same time, unlike in the 80s and some of the elder vinyl, you're not going to have as much wear and tear on these. It's instead going to be something that will last a little bit longer, and it doesn't sacrifice the sound quality whatsoever. And plus, for all of those that are saying that, oh, well, what if I want to play it in my car, most of these come with digital downloads that you can put on all of your favorite devices, including your handy-dandy Neato-Dito fucking cell phone, and play in your car at your leisure. So there's really no excuse. This is a terrific hobby. It's a fantastic venture. I love the fact that Alice Cooper is behind this 100%. I had a feeling that he would, because Alice has always been someone that's had some really creative concepts whenever it comes to his vinyl work, especially his albums from the 70s. There are a couple that definitely ring to me as really memorable. School's Out is one that definitely it harkens you back to the days whenever you were in school. It really paints the scene, and that's what a great album cover can really do for you. And now it's going to be encouraged that you have a great cover that goes along with it. It's no longer going to be this lazy garbage where it's just all about dropping the single. And I think that those people who just dropped the single are going to notice that they need a little bit more substance. I think we're going to be exiting a little bit out of the singles society, the singles culture, as time moves on, and it's going to go back to a little more album-oriented scene. At least that's my hope. What do you guys think about this? Are you a vinyl collector? Are you somebody who has a record player, listens to vinyl, collects stuff, old, new, young, old, whatever? Let me know in the comments. Tell me some of your rare finds, some of your treasures. Talk with other people in the community. Get some trades going over on the Cover Killer Nation fan page on Facebook. You know, let's talk about this. This is great news, and once again, I am thankful for this article, so I hope that all of you who are tuning in for Fan Appreciation Week also appreciate it as well. Thank you very much. And we will be back tomorrow with 2 videos as opposed to 1. That way we can get to more of your ideas and more of your suggestions here in Fan Appreciation Week 2015. I am thankful for all of your suggestions, and please leave more. I'm going to keep that post pinned to the top over on the Facebook group. Thanks. Have a good one.